An arrogant woman walks into Judge Judy's courtroom thinking she owns the place. She looks Judge Judy up and down, smirks, and decides to mock her outfit in front of everyone. But 47 seconds later, Judge Judy delivers one sentence so brutal, so perfectly timed, that the woman breaks down crying in front of millions. What Judge Judy said is now the most replayed courtroom moment of the year. The courtroom was packed. Cameras rolling. The bailiff stood ready. Judge Judy entered in her signature black robe, calm, composed, unbothered. That's when she walked in. Her name was Patricia Hernandez. Designer purse. Fake confidence. Arms crossed like she was doing the court a favor by showing up. Patricia looked Judge Judy up and down, whispered to her friend loud enough for the mic to catch. "Is that what she's wearing? I wouldn't let my maid dress like that." Judge Judy heard it. Everyone heard it. But she didn't react, not yet. What Judge Judy said 47 seconds later didn't just silence Patricia. It broke her. But first, let's see how we got here. Patricia was being sued by her former wedding planner, a single mother named Maria Santos, for $8,500 in unpaid services. But this wasn't just about money. Maria had worked 6 months planning Patricia's dream wedding. Every detail, every flower, every seating chart. She'd poured her heart into making Patricia's day perfect. Then 1 week before the wedding, Patricia called it off. Not because of cold feet, not because of family issues, because she found a better planner who promised to do it cheaper. Maria had already paid vendors. She'd worked overtime, turned down other clients to focus on Patricia's wedding. She was left with nothing. But Patricia, she shrugged. Told Maria that's business, sweetheart, and blocked her number. Just like that. 6 months of work erased with a single text, so Maria sued. She walked into court trembling, holding a folder of receipts, texts, contracts. Her hands shook. She was terrified. This was her livelihood, her children's future. Everything she had was riding on this moment. Patricia strutted in 20 minutes late, sunglasses on, Starbucks in hand, like she was walking into brunch, not a courtroom. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. "Ms. Hernandez, you're late." Patricia waved her hand dismissively. "Traffic, Your Honor. You know how it is." She sat down, legs crossed, scrolling her phone while Maria presented her case. While Maria fought back tears, explaining how she'd used her savings to cover deposits, how she'd trusted Patricia, how she'd been destroyed financially and emotionally, Judge Judy said nothing. But her jaw tightened. Because she'd seen this before. Entitled, dismissive, cruel. Then came the moment that changed everything. Maria wiped her eyes as she explained how she'd used her savings to cover deposits. "I trusted her," Maria said, voice breaking. "I believed we had an agreement. I believed in her word." Judge Judy turned to Patricia. "Ms. Hernandez, what's your defense?" Patricia leaned back in her chair, smirked, and said, "Look, she did some work, sure, but it wasn't good work. I had to fix everything myself. The flowers were wrong. The venue layout was tacky. I couldn't walk down the aisle to that mess." Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. "Do you have proof of that? Proof that her work was substandard?" Patricia waved her hand like she was swatting away a fly. "I don't need proof. Anyone with taste could see it was mediocre at best." Then she looked directly at Maria, her voice dripping with contempt. "Maybe if you dressed better, you'd understand quality. Maybe if you carried yourself with a little class, you'd know what elegance actually looks like." Maria's face fell. She looked down at her simple dress, her worn shoes. Humiliated. People in the gallery shifted uncomfortably. A woman covered her mouth. Even the bailiff Bird shook his head in disbelief. Judge Judy's pen stopped moving. She looked up slowly. "Excuse me?" Patricia, completely oblivious to the danger she was walking into, continued. "I'm just saying, Your Honor. She clearly doesn't understand elegance. I mean, look around this courtroom." She gestured broadly, her voice gaining confidence. "Even you," and she paused, looked Judge Judy up and down with that same smirk. "Even you could use a stylist. That robe is so 1985, like, has it ever been updated?" The courtroom froze. Dead. Silent. You could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights. The breathing of the cameraman. Nothing else. Judge Judy's expression didn't change. Not a muscle moved. But her eyes went ice cold. Colder than anyone in that room had ever seen. She set down her pen. Slowly. Deliberately. The kind of slow that makes your stomach drop. She folded her hands on the bench. Then she let the silence hang. 10 seconds passed. Patricia's smirk started to fade. 20 seconds. She glanced at her friend nervously. 30 seconds. The friend looked away. 40 seconds. Patricia uncrossed her legs, sat up a little straighter. Her hands fidgeted with her purse strap. 47 seconds. The longest 47 seconds of Patricia Hernandez's life. Then Judge Judy spoke. Judge Judy leaned forward and said, "Calm as death, Ms. Hernandez. The only thing outdated in this courtroom is your sense of decency." Patricia's smile vanished. Her face went pale. The confidence drained from her eyes in an instant. Judge Judy continued, her voice steady and surgical. You walk in here 20 minutes late, disrespect a hard-working woman, and then have the audacity to insult my appearance? Judge Judy's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Every word landed like a gavel. Each syllable cut deeper than the last. Let me tell you something about my outfit, sweetheart. This robe represents 40 years of law. It represents respect, integrity, and justice. Something you clearly know nothing about. Patricia tried to respond, her voice shaking. Your Honor, I didn't mean. Judge Judy cut her off instantly. Oh, you meant it. You meant every word. You walked in here thinking you're better than everyone else. Better than Maria. Better than this court. Better than me. Now let's talk about your outfit. Judge Judy leaned back, eyes locked on Patricia like a predator studying prey. Designer bag? Check. $200 sunglasses perched on your head like a crown? Check. Expensive jewelry? Check. But an $8,500 debt to a woman who trusted you, who worked for you, who believed in you? Also check. Patricia's lips started trembling. Her hands gripped the edge of the table. You know what I see when I look at you? Judge Judy's voice dropped lower, colder. I see someone who thinks expensive things make them valuable. They don't. Character makes you valuable. Integrity makes you valuable. And you have neither. A woman in the gallery whispered, "Oh my God." Another person leaned forward, eyes wide, unable to look away. I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff, Judge Judy announced. $8,500 for unpaid services, plus court costs, plus an additional $2,000 for wasting everyone's time with your arrogance and disrespect. Patricia shot up from her seat. What? That's not fair. Fair? Judge Judy's voice finally rose, sharp and commanding. You want to talk about fair? This woman worked herself to exhaustion for you. She trusted you. She turned down other clients for you. And you threw her away like trash. You know what? The only trash I see here is sitting in your seat. That's when the tears came. Not sad tears. Humiliated tears. The kind that come when your entire sense of self shatters in front of millions. Patricia's face crumpled. Her hands shook. Her breath came in short gasps. She tried to speak, but nothing came out except a choked sob. We're done here, Judge Judy said, her voice returning to that calm, final tone. Get out of my courtroom. Patricia stood, mascara running down her cheeks in black streaks, and stumbled toward the door. Her legs barely held her. The bailiff had to steady her arm as she walked out, broken and humiliated. The courtroom sat in stunned silence. No one moved. No one breathed. Then someone started clapping. Slow at first, then another person joined. Then another. Then the whole room erupted in applause. Maria covered her face with her hands and cried tears of relief and vindication. Did Judge Judy go too far, or was this exactly what Patricia needed? Smash that like button if you're Team Judy. Comment below she deserved it, or too harsh. Let's see where you stand. Within an hour, the clip was everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit threads titled, Judge Judy ends entitled, Karen and Karen insults, Judge Judy's outfit. Instantly regrets it exploded across the internet. 10 million views in 6 hours. Then 50 million. Then 100 million. The numbers kept climbing. People couldn't stop watching. They replayed the 47 seconds of silence over and over. They shared it. They quoted it. They made it their own. Comments flooded in by the thousands. This is why Judge Judy is a national treasure. Patricia learned the hard way. The silence before she spoke was legendary. I've watched this 20 times and it gets better every single time. My mom worked as a wedding planner and dealt with women like Patricia constantly. Thank you, Judge Judy, for saying what we've all wanted to say. The support was overwhelming. Universal. People from every background, every age, every walk of life connected with this moment. A nurse named Jennifer in Florida watched the clip during her break in the hospital break room. She dealt with entitled patients all week, people who snapped their fingers at her, who treated her like she was invisible, who complained about wait times while she was covering 3 floors because they were understaffed. She played the clip 3 times, and on the 3rd viewing, she whispered, "Thank you, Judge Judy." Her coworker looked over. You okay? Jennifer nodded, wiping her eyes. Yeah, I just needed to see someone stand up for people like us. A middle school teacher in Ohio named Ms. Patterson showed the clip to her class, edited appropriately for schools. She paused it right after Judge Judy said the only thing outdated in this courtroom is your sense of decency. She asked her students what they thought.
One quiet girl in the back who rarely spoke raised her hand. So being mean doesn't make you cool? Ms. Patterson smiled, her heart full. No, honey, it doesn't. Being kind, being respectful, treating people with dignity, that's what makes you cool.
That's what makes you matter. The class sat in silence, absorbing the lesson. Not from a textbook, from life. A retail worker named Marcus in Texas had just been yelled at by a customer over a return policy he didn't create and couldn't change. The woman had called him incompetent, lazy, and told him he'd never amount to anything. He clocked out, sat in his car in the parking lot, and scrolled through his phone trying to calm down. That's when he saw the clip. He watched Judge Judy dismantle Patricia's arrogance with surgical precision. He watched Patricia cry, and then Marcus cried too. Not from sadness, from relief. Someone finally said it. Someone finally stood up and said that cruelty isn't strength, that disrespect has consequences. He played it again, and this time, he smiled. A single mom in Michigan named Rachel, working 2 jobs, saw Maria's face and recognized herself. She'd been treated exactly like Patricia treated Maria. A client had refused to pay her for graphic design work, called her unprofessional, said her work wasn't good enough even though they'd used every single design she created. Rachel had felt invisible, worthless, like she didn't matter. But watching Maria stand in that courtroom, watching Judge Judy fight for her, something broke open inside Rachel. She wrote in the comments, "This is for all of us. For every person who's been dismissed, disrespected, and told we don't matter. Thank you, Judge Judy. Thank you, Maria. You reminded us we're not alone." Even news outlets picked it up. Judge Judy's viral takedown. Entitled, "Defendant Gets Reality Check. Courtroom Moment Becomes National Conversation About Respect." CNN played the clip. Fox News analyzed it. Local stations across the country interviewed people about what the moment meant to them. It transcended politics. It transcended demographics. It was simply human. A moment of justice that everyone could feel. Patricia's Instagram, once public and filled with selfies and humble brags, went private within hours. Her last post before she locked her account? A selfie with the caption, "Living my best life," with a champagne glass emoji. The comments were brutal. How's that working out for you now? Judge Judy just ended your whole career. This aged like milk. Maybe focus less on outfits and more on paying people what you owe them. Patricia disappeared from social media entirely. Some said she deleted everything. Others said she just couldn't handle the truth staring back at her from every comment. Maria Santos gave one interview. Just one. A local news station in her hometown sat down with her in her small living room. The reporter asked her how she felt. Maria paused, choosing her words carefully. "I never wanted revenge. I never wanted to destroy Patricia. I just wanted to be heard. I wanted someone to acknowledge that what happened to me mattered, that I mattered. And Judge Judy heard me. She heard me when no one else would." Maria's voice cracked. "That's all I ever wanted." Thousands of people shared their own Patricia stories in the comments. A hairstylist who'd been stiffed by a client. A contractor who'd been accused of shoddy work after completing a perfect job. A teacher who'd been belittled by a parent in front of her entire class. A waiter who'd been screamed at over cold food that the customer had let sit for 20 minutes. People who'd been disrespected, dismissed, treated like they didn't matter. And every single one of them felt seen by this moment. Because this wasn't just about a courtroom moment. This wasn't just about Patricia and Maria. This was about everyone who'd ever been looked down on. Everyone who'd been told they weren't good enough. Everyone who'd been treated like they were less than human because they didn't have the right clothes, the right job, the right background. Judge Judy had stood up for all of them. In 47 seconds of silence and 2 minutes of truth, she'd reminded an entire nation that respect isn't optional. It's required. Judge Judy herself said nothing publicly. No interviews, no statements, no tweets. She didn't need to. The moment spoke for itself. And that silence, that refusal to grandstand or capitalize on the moment, made it even more powerful. She hadn't done it for attention. She'd done it because it was right. And America felt that. 2 weeks after the verdict, Maria Santos sat in her small apartment, surrounded by emails. Dozens of them. Her inbox overflowed. People wanted to hire her. Brides from across the country reaching out. Event coordinators asking for collaboration. Venues offering partnerships. One email stood out. It was from a bride-to-be in California named Sarah. The subject line read, "You deserve this." Maria opened it with trembling hands. "I saw you on Judge Judy. I watched what you went through. I watched how you carried yourself with grace even when someone tried to tear you down. I want you to plan my wedding, not because I feel sorry for you, because you're clearly incredible at what you do and you deserve this opportunity." Maria cried reading it. Not from pain this time. From hope. From the realization that her nightmare had somehow become her breakthrough. A GoFundMe appeared without Maria even knowing who started it. Help Maria Santos rebuild her business. People donated to help her restart. $5, $20, $50. Strangers from every corner of America giving what they could. $30,000 in 48 hours. Maria couldn't believe it. She recorded a video message, her voice shaking with emotion. I thought I was invisible. I thought what happened to me didn't matter to anyone but me. But Judge Judy made me visible, and so did all of you. You reminded me that kindness still exists, that people still care. I will never forget this. I will spend the rest of my life paying this forward. Meanwhile, Patricia Hernandez disappeared from public life. Completely. Her social media gone. Her phone number changed. Some say she moved to another state. Others say she's in therapy trying to process what happened. No one knows for sure. But what happened in that courtroom became a teaching moment. Pastors used it in sermons about humility and pride. One pastor in Tennessee showed the clip and said pride comes before the fall. Patricia thought she was untouchable. She thought her designer purse made her better than everyone else. But character, not clothes, defines us. The congregation sat in silence, absorbing the truth. Parents showed it to their teenagers. This is why we treat people with respect, they said. This is why kindness matters. This is why you never look down on someone unless you're helping them up. An 80-year-old woman named Dorothy in Maine wrote Judge Judy a letter, her handwriting shaky but legible. I've been watching you for 20 years, but this moment reminded me why. Thank you for standing up for the little people. Thank you for showing the world that decency still matters. Judge Judy responded with a handwritten note that Dorothy framed and hung on her wall. It's not about standing up for them. It's about reminding them they were always standing. They just needed someone to see them. A young lawyer fresh out of law school tweeted, "This is why I went to law school, to be a voice like Judge Judy. Firm but fair, compassionate but uncompromising." The tweet got hundreds of thousands of likes. Law students across the country shared it. This is what justice looks like. The image of Patricia crying and Maria standing tall became symbolic. It was shared in motivational posts in therapy groups and classrooms. One woman learned humility the hard way. The other learned her worth was never in question, and both, in their own way, were changed forever. 6 months passed. Maria Santos opened her own wedding planning business, Santos Celebrations. It's thriving. Her calendar is booked solid for the next year. Brides travel from other states to work with her, not out of pity, because she's genuinely talented, dedicated, and treats every client with the respect they deserve. Her first client? The bride from California, Sarah, the one who sent that email. The wedding was beautiful, elegant, perfect in every way. Sarah cried when she saw the final setup. Maria, this is everything I dreamed of and more. Thank you for pouring your heart into this. Maria hugged her and whispered, thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Maria framed a photo from the courtroom. Not of Patricia, not of Judge Judy, of herself, standing at that podium, speaking her truth, being heard. She hung it in her office as a reminder that she survived, that she mattered, that her voice, her work, her worth were never up for debate. Patricia never responded publicly, not once. Some say she watches the clip alone late at night and regrets every word. Others say she's still in denial, convinced she was the victim. No one knows for sure, but her silence speaks volumes. Judge Judy continues doing what she's always done, holding people accountable, cutting through nonsense, delivering justice, not with cruelty, with truth. She doesn't need to reference the Patricia moment. It's already woven into her legacy, a moment that reminded the world why she matters. This moment reminds us of something we forget too often. Respect costs nothing, but disrespect costs everything. Patricia lost her reputation, her dignity, her peace over a few cruel words. Maria gained a business, a community, and her voice back because she chose grace under pressure. Those 47 seconds of silence before Judge Judy spoke, that was control. That was power. In a world that screams and argues and interrupts, silence became the loudest weapon in the room. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause. Think, then speak with precision. Judge Judy didn't need to yell. She didn't need to insult Patricia back. She just needed to tell the truth. And the truth was devastating. Patricia thought insulting Judge Judy's outfit would make her look superior. She thought it would diminish Judge Judy and elevate herself. Instead, it exposed her emptiness. It revealed that beneath the designer purse and expensive sunglasses was someone with no substance, no character, no respect for others or herself. Because clothes don't make you respectable. Character does. You can wear the most expensive outfit in the world, but if your heart is ugly, everyone will see it eventually. Maria said it best in a recent interview. I walked into that courtroom broken. I walked out remembered. And now millions of people remember her, not as a victim, as a survivor, as someone who stood up, spoke her truth, and refused to be erased. Judge Judy didn't just rule on a case that day. She reminded us that kindness and respect aren't weaknesses, they're strengths. That standing up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs you something, is always worth it. Somewhere tonight, someone is being treated like Maria was. Dismissed, disrespected, invisible. Someone is working their heart out for someone who will never appreciate it. Someone is being mocked for their clothes, their job, their background. But maybe, just maybe, they'll remember this moment. Maybe they'll remember that they don't have to accept disrespect, that their worth isn't determined by someone else's cruelty. And maybe they'll stand up. Because if Judge Judy taught us anything, it's this. Arrogance is loud. It demands attention. It mocks and belittles and tries to make itself feel big by making others feel small. But truth? Truth is louder. Truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be spoken, and when it is, it changes everything. If this story moved you, if you believe respect still matters, if you've ever felt invisible like Maria, this moment is for you. Hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to see it. Comment below and tell us, have you ever stood up to someone like Patricia? Or have you been in Maria's shoes? Your story matters. Subscribe for more moments that remind us what courage and truth really look like. Together, let's keep telling stories that lift people up instead of tearing them down. Don't stay silent. Your voice matters. Let's hear it.